Okay. Hi everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Deck Talk, where a new segment we're doing where I'm going to get a guest on. We're going to talk about a deck of notes that they've been using, and just go through their choices. And then afterwards, we're going to play a game of it, so you can kind of see the deck in action and kind of the theory behind the deck, and hopefully everyone becomes better players and understands deck testing. Hopefully, I will understand deck testing. And yeah, so on the first one, all the way from Decklist and Chill podcast, we have Dan Kay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Dan.
How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for coming on. I hope you're well.
I am well. My pleasure, man. No worries.
So this is a build I've kind of saw once at the very beginning of the second cycle, and then I've not really seen since. So this is Night's Watch, Banner of the Lion.
This is a Night's Watch Banner of the Lion build, yeah. Back when my friend Tris was still playing the game, he was playing a very early build. Like say, yeah, it was a Cycle 2 Pack 1 build that really sort of became viable when the White Tree dropped. But it was good. It was good. It was missing a couple of things, and I think now that the entire cycle's come out, I'm probably mainly talking about Corin here.
I hear he's pretty good.
He is great, yeah. He's not broken though, which is good to know. Mainly because the targeting restriction of his ability is non-uniques and of a lower strength than his. So he's not broken. Even in the wall deck, he's not even broken in that, because generally you're not running 6 of him, and you don't even really need to see him in the wall decks. It's just so consistent in what it does anyway. But he's a very good card regardless.
He's a card I found that once you played against him a few times, you kind of learn to play around him. And when you see him, you've got to put out either quite a few chuds in one go, or it's just all the non-uniques go hit the board.
That's it, yeah. You can play around him. He can be nightmares or treachery or control, or offered of a peach, or all these cool ways of controlling him. But he is still a very good card. It's the no attachments which puts him up into the he's not like all the 6 costers have got some cool thing they do. Jamie doesn't kneel. Yeah. Drogo gets 2 military. Euron's got his intimidate, and
Balon just kind of goes, unless you're the same strength as me, I don't care.
Yeah. And his one is the cool, no attachments thing, and the nifty little chud killing ability. But so I guess I should probably say that the original idea for this deck, the sort of initial list, as it were, came from Kiddo Hearts, because he was the one that supplied Tris with the very, very early build back at the beginning of Cycle 2. And he sent me a list that I'll link for your benefit.
Sure.
And it looked good. There was a lot of what I would consider slightly odd choices in it. Like he was running 2 copies of characters that I don't think you needed 2 of, and he was missing cards that I definitely would have put in. And so I don't think he had the White Tree in his build. His events sort of thing were, I think, relatively similar to what I've got, but I changed some stuff around basically just to make it as good as I could. Oh yeah, he didn't have ranging pies in his one as well, which was a bit baffling.
They're one of the best 4-cost cards in the game.
They really are, yeah. They're just so efficient, So I basically just I had a mess around the plots and the character list, and I just sort of tweaked it with all the cards that I like to play with. Yeah. And I got the amount sorted, and I took it to Brighton yesterday, and I won that. So that was a really really positive experience for the deck,
and a pretty tough field as well, it should be said.
Yeah, it was a really tough field. I kind of feel that had Ryan not been playing his charity deck, that maybe I wouldn't have reached the cup, because there would have been an extra person placing in there.
There's a lot of different. You probably might play different people, so I was that's what it was on the day, and you just kind of take it for what it is.
That's it. And I actually ended up 9th on the day, and I was tied with strength of schedule, 3 people. and both of them, sorry, two people, and both of them beat me on extended strength of schedule, which I don't even know how that works.
No, I don't think anyone does. It's just a magical number that just appears.
That's it, yeah. And luckily, one of the guys in the cup had to go home, so he dropped, and I got bumped into 8th place.
And the rest is the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really nice sort of cruise up to the final table, and my final opponent, Richard Walker, is a good friend of mine. He's a lovely guy. It was a really fun game. It was quite back and forth for a while, but after a while, the deck just was able to sort of really run away and do its thing, and I managed to seal it. But
no, cool. Yeah. So where do you want to start talking about this? Do you want to start with plots, characters, attachments?
So I'll just sort of talk about the mechanics first of all.
Okay, sure.
What you're trying to do here, like Night's Watch have now got, in my opinion, they've got a couple of really viable aggro builds with banner houses. You've got the choice of Greyjoy for saves and stealth and leveraging Valor, which Night's Watch I would almost argue do better than Greyjoy with the Banner Kraken, because you can get all the saves from Greyjoy anyway, and you've got Aemon as well.
Yeah.
So there's that one that's very viable, and then of course there's Lannister, which you generally banner to for raw efficiency and power, don't you? And so this build does exactly that. It utilizes lots of the Lanny bullshit cards, as commonly known as, just to spew efficient bodies onto the table. And of course, what aggro build would be complete without lots and lots of kill and ways to control the board? So the first thing that I wanted to do differently, because I'm not playing a Greyjoy build, a Banner Kraken aggro build, was I took Valor out, because there's not really enough space for Aemon in the plot, in the characters, and there's no saves from Iron Mind or anything like that, and bodyguards in a build where I'm only running 7 cards with the Lord trait.
Yeah, not really worth it.
That's it, man. Yeah. So it can be. You've got to play quite cautiously sometimes if you think the enemy's running. The opponent is running Valor.
No, they are the enemy.
Yeah, but generally, what you want to do is you'll get some spread of super efficient, nasty characters out.
Yeah.
Some combination of horrible military characters like Gregor or Jaime or the ranging parties or Corrin or the Hound and Tyrion, however they come out. You build up a board state over the first couple of turns of Time of Plenties, and then you generally first snow when you can leverage it as best you can. And if you can first snow on a turn where you can definitely get all your military triggers off, so your relentless assaults and your puts to the swords, that would just swing a game right there.
Yeah.
And then after that, you just stop them from recovering with Marched and Famine. If you do run into some Valor, which you almost certainly will, you've got Ghost of Harrenhal. And the chances are, the cool thing about Ghost of Harrenhal is not a lot of people at the minute are running it outside of the Lanny jumper build. So sometimes you'll play people and they just won't expect you to flip it. So if you've been keeping a meticulous eye on your dead pile and they haven't on theirs, you can have some very fun turns.
That is definitely something I've been learning recently. I've actually been running it on my Barrett deck, actually, Ghost of Harrenhal.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, because quite often with you've got the big 3 and you can't keep one of them alive on a Valor turn, so occasionally. So I just go, fine, I'll flip into Harrenhal next turn, or I do it obviously when I think they're going to Valor. If I can catch that out, or obviously, but yeah, it has been effective. Quickly on the plots, because you've basically covered them all anyway. Then
Sure.
I was just say we talked about it beforehand. First Snow of Winter, I put it back in a lot of my decks. It's been brilliant. People have lowered their cost curves, I'm finding, because of
They
Valor.
sure have. They have lowered those cost curves, and that is where the big fish come and eat the little fish.
It is. It really. I've been running out of Greyjoy, and everyone expects to do Valor, and I flip this, and then there is that kind of realization of, oh.
Yeah. The great thing about First Snow of Winter is, it counters Night's Watch fealty hard.
Yes, it really does. They do not like it.
That's it. The wall build, all of the good cards are under 3. Aemon, Halder, apart from the Raging Parties and, the odd Benjamin Crast or whatever. And maybe if you're unlucky, you'll see Corrin. But, the Shadow Tower Masons, Stewards, the Ravens, the old Forest Hunters, all of the stuff that does the work in the deck, getting all the control out, that can all just get pinged off the table. And it can be quite difficult to then build your board back up, especially a build like this. You've got Treachery to stall out the wall. Yeah. Nightmares is the best card ever for dealing with the wall, especially if they sort of go all in on a challenge they think they're going to win. And then you take away their strength. That's a nice one. And it's also great against Targ, First Snow of Winter.
The dragons don't like it. That's why I think Targ disappeared for a little bit when it first came out, and then as it came a little less popular, they re-emerged. But again, now it is a good counter for them.
And I'm just finding it to be a really great plot. And the cool thing now is it doesn't feel imbalanced. It felt like a very unfair plot when it was first cycle, because obviously there was Lanny and Martell that could really utilize it, and not really many other factions.
No.
So, it just felt a bit lopsided. But now everyone's sort of on the same level to a degree. It feels a lot more fair, and I feel like it's a lot more of a skill play reset now as well. Like Wildfire's kind of gone by the wayside for quite a lot of decks. Valor is, people are now, I've started to notice from playing online and stuff, that people are now like adapting to Valor very well.
Yeah,
will play their Valors correctly, if it's aggressively or defensively or whatever. And that seems to be the reset that everyone's running, especially with all these like Tyrell decks that you're now starting to see it with all these big guys with loads of saves, Or
Nemarge Valoring just to kill a Lord to get a better Lord.
Yeah, she's oh god, that's a nasty play when that happens. People need to start running milk again.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I have those in this deck specifically for those problem characters. And the cool thing is as well, but sometimes you'll have they'll have a turn where they need to Valor and their board will die apart from one character maybe, or whatever. Yeah. And if you happen to play First Snow on the same turn they do their Valor, it stops them from being able to marshal anything. So it can even work when you're not, when you're not expecting it to, if you know what I mean.
I think about the first time I put First Snow back in, I was testing against Ryan Wood and he Valored expecting me to Valor. To kill all my characters with their dupes. Yeah. And then I First Snow and he kind of went, well, I've just literally lost the game because of that. I went, yeah, you really have.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one. And the obviously the cool stuff with there's a lot of cards in this deck that like bouncing back to hand anyway, like the Burn Men,
the Hound.
Dolores Ed, if he gets stuck on the table.
Yeah.
You can scoop him back up and he's all good. And Tyrion's existence will always mean that if you have any ambush characters, Lanny obviously have the Hound, who's fantastic, and Night's Watch have Ari, and they're both in this deck. And of course the Burn Men as well. Then as long as you have Tyrion down, you'll always be able to leverage that First Snow turn better than your opponent.
So looking at the rest of the plots, I assume Time of Plenty is draw / just a good economy plot.
Yeah, so that's changed. That was the slot. The second one is basically a change after the tournament.
Right.
I was running initially trading, but I fucking hate trading. I hate giving people money.
Yeah.
when you're running an aggro deck, the last thing you want to be doing is giving them money to repopulate their board. Then I was.
What's it called? No, I was about to say, here's 3 more gold to get out that extra chud. So I've now just kind of killed that chud I've just given you the money for. Yeah.
Not the one, basically.
Yeah.
So then I swapped up to Noble, thinking, I've got Gregory and Gregory.
Gregory.
Hello, I'm Gregory Clinton, the Night Mountain.
It seems a lot less scary as Gregory Clinton.
It does, doesn't it? So I've got Gregor. I had Gregor and Jamie and Tyrion and one Lancel. Not that I ever used on him. But what I found with Noble yesterday, because that's what I was running in the tournament. Was there a couple of games where it just whiffed? I had no lords, just wasn't enough to really do the trick. I put it in there because obviously it's nice to have a plot that you just can put down on the table and know that you can 100% get the mountain out, even if you've seen no economy or reducers or whatever, But then that's not really a great use of an entire plot's worth of gold, one character. So, yeah, we had a little chat, me, Ryan, and Darren, and I think we sort of all university agreed that the extra card from Time of Plenty is good for early on an aggro build anyway, and Summer and the High Reserve and the rest of the good stuff. It just seemed like a natural fit really to put a second one in. So, and it's gone.
Especially 10 events, you're probably always going to be drawing something that's useful. So yeah,
that's it. I mean, you'll look at this deck, and I think the first thing you'll notice is it is essentially a good stuff deck.
Yeah,
every single card in this deck is good.
No, I can see that.
That's why you play Lannister. It's not for finesse. It's not for it's not for cool mechanics or tricksy little things. It's just raw good shit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, there's a few tricksy stuff now, like the Harrenhal and the Tower of the Hand, but really that only works because you bring in like Tywin Lannister to bounce back their best character.
Well, no, that stuff all worked really well. I really like that Lannister build because it is a bit different and it is tricksy mechanic-y stuff. But obviously, it works best in faction, in the loyal decks where they've got big Cersei to endlessly, do double intrigue challenges with before bouncing back. If they've got all their locations online. Yeah. And then that's all horrifically powerful and really good. But it's that has a bit more finesse to it. But this is. The banner package is more just the old school core set. Yeah. Good shit.
good stuff, Lanny. So obviously the rest of the plot's pretty obvious. March, I think you kind of said that. Actually, March and Famine are post First Snow, depending on which one's better at that point.
Yeah, that's it. It's quite flexible. There's no order you do the plots in. You just do them as you need to. But
I can imagine if something happened like where you had a King's Road from your setup and your opponent wasn't able to marshal any characters, Famine wouldn't be a bad plot to put out then as well.
Yeah, that's it. It's about if I could use a sort of visual analogy for a second, it's about dragging the guy off their horse and then kicking them when they're down in the mud, trapped in their heavy armor and unable to fight back. And that is basically how it functions. You just
awesome.
Once you've got a leg over on them, you just keep kicking them until the game's done.
I love that analogy.
It's not a nice deck to play against when it fires. And if you've got Corrin and the Mountain out, and you just happen to luck into stuff like Relentless Assault and Put to the Sword, it can get really nasty really quickly. The Mountain on his own is basically just a win by 5 military trigger enabler, isn't he?
Yeah.
Pillage bullshit aside, just the fact that he's 10 military is the biggest appeal of that card for me, because I love the win by 5 military triggers, man, or just win by 5 triggers in general. I like that mechanic because the effects of those cards are generally very powerful,
Yes. No, especially, let's actually move on to events. Obviously, just quick over, obviously, the last plot is Confiscation because attachments are a thing at the moment.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're not running Confiscation, you need a very good reason not to be running Confiscation. We're talking about the events, obviously free Treachery because it's a brilliant card.
You know what? I've never played with Lannister cards before this deck, and
No.
they are such bullshit.
Oh, I'm fully believe. Ryan said it before, and I agree with him. Treachery should be neutral because it is just such a powerful card. That ability to,
It's ridiculous.
yeah,
How did that get through playtesting?
no idea. For 1 gold, you have to have a unique Lannister character, especially these days. That's not a hard thing to have in play.
Yeah, no, that's it. You will have a unique Lannister character when you play. There was never a point playing this deck where I couldn't trigger Treachery. There was even, not one. What I found that one working really well on was if you get because you look at the list, you think, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to have the turn where you hit someone with a Gregor Pillage and you put someone else with a sword, and there's the Relentless Assault for a second one, and Corrin's thing goes off, and it was all on the 2-claim famine turn. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But that never actually really happened. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon that will happen. Generally, you'll whittle away their board early on. And what I found Treachery great for was, by turn 3 when they're sort of running out of stuff to throw under the bus, so to speak, you can just ping that on a King's Road. Because if they're trying to recover with a King's Road, then that's almost like good game for them right there. And I know like you shouldn't always Treachery any old King's Road, but when you know that like they need to get something on the board, like they absolutely have to, and you've got that card in hand, it's just ludicrous.
And the best thing would be using it with the gold you got from the White Tree.
Yeah, ultimate banter.
Obviously, Nightmares again, because that's a good card. You need to be able to blank something at will for just for a phase is just a brilliant ability.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of saying like you need this card in your deck like to any one card, but if there is a card in the game and you're going to any kind of serious tournament that you should have in your deck at least 2 of, it's probably Nightmares, regardless of whatever faction you're playing. And if you don't have it in your event slot, it's got to be for a pretty damn good reason,
I think about the only deck I'm not running them at the moment is my Barra deck, and that's only because all my things there are to stop military or just to kneel you out anyway.
Yeah, the Baratheon events are so good anyway. Yeah. They're very specialist for what that deck does. So that's one of the exceptions to the rule, as it were.
But I think every other deck does have at least 2 Nightmares in, because you say it's just needed. Being able just to go, oh no, there's the mountain coming in. I'm in trouble. Well, I'm just going to Nightmares him, and now that's less of an issue.
Yeah, that's it. Just turning off the wall, or Fat Bob and Intimidate, or something. Anything. It just being able to switch that stuff off that can lose you a game, or being able to do something that stops your opponent from stopping you winning the game. It's just too valuable to pass up on, I think.
And obviously you got Relentless Assault and Put to the Sword, which obviously you said trying to get them off on the same military would be amazing. But Put to the Sword's an interesting include because it's disappeared a bit because of Valor, but I actually still think it's got a place, even if it's just to get rid of a bodyguard when you think your opponent's going to Valor.
It's great, and I'll tell you why. I say to have another little like story example here. I was playing a game against Darren, and he had something like 2 or 3 Iron Mines on the table, and 2 duped characters. I think he had duped Asher and duped Nymeria. And I was thinking, you look at that and in your head you think, well, that's completely shafted my strategy as an aggro deck, yeah? But when you can just throw just a huge weight of military pressure at them, like turn 3, those Iron Mines were gone and neither of those characters were duped anymore.
Yeah.
I'd mowed through them. And even if you're just taking dupes off or you're getting rid of an Iron Mines or whatever, if they have Valor, all of a sudden they're stuck. They can't Valor anymore because they're like their plan is now actually more dangerous to them than it is to you. So
a ticking time bomb of a plot.
That's it. Targeted kill is obviously it's great when you can hit an unprotected character, and that's lovely and that's the dream. But even just getting rid of dupes, because Corrin and the Mountain and the 2-claim famine, there's enough attrition in the deck that the military claim will eventually start to hurt, just got to really just put enough of it through. So I don't think it's bad, obviously, and any deck with Tyrion that just shits event gold endlessly, you can afford that 2 gold kill event. It's maybe
Sure.
a bit more of an ask in other decks, but it's one of my favorite cards. I'd absolutely love Put to the Sword.
And I assume Relentless Assault is more for looking at military in this, is it? Or is it? I mean, obviously you can use power if you really want to close out the game, but it's more just making that massive aggro, get Jamie going off twice.
Oh yeah, God, it is great when you've got the one copy of Jamie on the table. Yeah, absolutely right, man. I used it on power once, I think, in the tournament yesterday. But yeah, generally it's just for more military pressure. You know.
No, that's cool.
Anything worse, staring down the barrel of the mountain is staring down the barrel of the mountain and Corrin, and knowing that they're going to use both of them in separate challenges to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Location-wise, so obviously got the typical free Rose Road, free Kings Road. Not really need to talk about why that's good. Free Ocean Road, I think that's because obviously Night's Watch doesn't have their own reducing location, at least not yet.
It's just to add a lot of consistency to the deck, as you can see from the plots and the cost curve. It's tight, it's a tight curve that, and being able to reduce the Lanny characters is great. Sorry, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, and you've also got more Lanny characters than you have Night's Watch characters, or at least not more Lanny cards than you have Night's Watch cards, I should say.
Yeah, I don't know what I think the characters are probably just about equal between the two factions, but yeah, once you factor in the events and the Widow's Wells, Lanny just edges it out ever so slightly. Yeah. They're just great for getting, reducing your King's Roads is always a good one. Getting free milks. There was a game in the final yesterday. I had 2 on the table, and I was able to get Littlefinger out on a famine turn because I had a Rose Road and 2 Ocean Roads, and I was in top deck mode, and I top decked Littlefinger, and instantly played him and got 2 cards, on famine, which was fucking amazing. So just I think really, if you're going to run a really tight curve deck, then you just need. I look at all of those locations as economy locations. The White Tree is a bit of a funny one, but
what is the thought process behind the White Tree? Sorry to intercut there, because that's the one card I'm looking at with the so far that I've gone. It's interesting because it doesn't seem to synergize with the rest of the deck. Well,
it's my favorite location in the game, and it's an amazing card. It creates a 2 gold swing. It doesn't matter if they make you go first in this deck, because then you just get to use the gold for events or ambush. So really good then. And if you get to choose and you go second, then you've got an extra gold for marshalling. And either way, they're losing a gold. And that's the main thing. The amount of times that someone couldn't play the thing they wanted to because they didn't have that last gold. They were gold short. I'm sure you've had it happen to you.
Well, I've done it on my Kings of Winter deck, and the amount of times my opponent's just gone, if it wasn't for that 1 gold, I could do this, I could get this, I could get a character and I'd be fine now. And it's like, yep, that's kind of the point.
That's it, man. That's exactly it, and as you can, because in the Greyjoy Winter build, you're not running like Meager and White Tree for the full-on gold choke, so you're just literally relying on that 1 gold winter choke, and that is enough. Even in that Greyjoy Winter deck, that can be enough sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Unless shit out of luck playing against the Arbor or something like that, but most of the time that is enough to stop them from doing what they want, and it's for that reason that I love it. I'll even play it mid game. I know there are some people that are like, well, if you see it early it's great and setup is great, but if you see it mid game then it's not so good. But I'll play it mid game quite happily because it just starts. It's just the second it's on the table, it starts bringing the advantage over to your side and away from them, and any card that does that is really powerful.
I was going to say, it only takes 3 turns to get its gold back, so as long as you sit by about turn 3, really, it should have an impact.
If you want to go on raw numbers, it probably earns its money back on the trigger on the second turn because it would have created a 4 gold swing by that point.
Actually, I see what you're saying, actually, yeah.
I mean, even though it hasn't paid for itself technically, it has created that discrepancy in the numbers, so... it's just fucking great. And maybe it'll become less good when we get this Lay Siege event I've been hearing about, which is Neil location. It's like an event you pay a gold for to Neil a location, and if it's contested, I think it gets discarded. But
I've heard, I've seen there's a bit of it got leaked, or not leaked, when they did an article. You could just about see it, and I think that is what it says, but we're not 100% sure.
Okay, yeah, no, this is just the theorizing that I've heard. Then, yeah.
But the problem I have with that is it's a bit like Descent. Unless allies become a thing, you're never going to see Descent. How many times are you going to see a contested location?
Oh, do you mean Dissension?
Dissension, sorry, yeah. Dissension, yeah. How many times are you going to see how many times are you going to see a contested location that's worth doing on? We've got both Harrenhalls and this.
And there's the new Astapor coming in pack 3 that looks horrible.
that could be the swing card, which then makes you go, actually, you do need to be running that event. But until there's enough contested locations to become consistent enough, I don't think you're going to see it that often.
No. I think LCG will have its place in location hate builds, and maybe not outside of them. But yeah, I'm just glad it's coming. Location hate's great.
Oh, we need more of it. We do definitely need more of it. I'm not complaining. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, guys. Yeah. So by the looks of your characters, I think we can basically sum them up into about 3 different slots. In that you got the jumpers with Ari, the Burnmen, Dolores Ed, obviously, who are the top 3 cards of the list here, and the Hound, that we all know how well and good he has been since the first cycle. So obviously, that really works off Tyrion getting the gold, jumping them in. Obviously, it is an obvious play. Obviously, Dolores Ed, you don't even need to do that. You just literally know your house card.
That concept's been around for a while, hasn't it? So just being able to jump things in and out, and having hidden information in any card games, just a real leg up for you and a real kick in the ass for your opponent. I've got to say, my favourite of the bunch are the Burnmen. I
love Burnmen. I love some of the Burnmen play when you're like, okay, I'm going second. I don't know 3 challenges. I'm not going to jump a Burnmen in, and your opponent look on your opponent's face and goes, "You're marching, aren't you?"
Yeah.
It's like, can't possibly say.
when they do a huge military in the attempt to get you to kneel out your whole board to defend,
yes,
and then you're like, well, at least they're not attacking me back, and then you just hop in one of those little troll buddies, just get a little cheeky military claim off. Yeah, no, it's great. I love them, man. I really, really do.
No, they're awesome, and I love First Snow to bring them back to hand to get them again. And even when your opponent plays First Snow and you get them back, you're like, well, they'll be back soon. You haven't really done that much.
Nice one.
So go on.
So those are the jumpers.
You've got you got Ghost, who I absolutely love, and I think needs to be played more.
He's great. Yeah.
I assume he's to go in. With Corin Halfhand and with the Jamie and Sir Gregor, is he, or is he using his ability more just to go? That character's quite annoying. I'm going to do military, but he hasn't got a military icon. I just really want to stop them from defending.
Situational, really. Obviously, he's the best friend to Gregor, Jamie, and all the cards you just listed. He's great because he just takes someone out of that challenge that they can't defend with, and it's probably going to be their best guy. So you're definitely getting your triggers off when he's on the board. But alternatively, I'll use him if there's a challenge I need to win against an icon spread that I can't without him. So if I need to stealth the guy who's got a big chunky power icon so I can win the power, then I'll do that. He's just great. He's just very, very annoying card. There's another thing if your opponent to deal with. There are certain cards that you play one-ofs that just make your opponent think, "Fuck, I've got to reset this board if I can't kill these characters off." And you'll notice in this deck as well, there's quite a lot of fodder cards. There's stuff to just chuck under the bus. So,
sorry, sorry, you finish your point. Sorry.
Yeah, so there's just the Lannister chuds, the Ravens, the Night's Watch chud, Lancel once he's not activated anymore, the Burnmen, all these cards that you can basically just sort of sacrifice to military claim, so your attrition isn't felt as heavily as theirs.
The thing I love though is all those cards just mentioned, they all have a secondary purpose. So obviously the reducers get stuff out cheaper, brilliant. But then they're also there to die. The Messenger Raven, well, you can either bring it out to die as in military claim, or I bring it back to my hand and I just draw from my deck faster. Either way, I'm kind of happy.
That's it, man. No, those Ravens are key. The one thing I've noticed through playing it quite a lot that I guess you could say is maybe a weakness of the deck is that if you start to lose the balance in pressure, like you can go on the defensive and you can wait until the opening comes and you can sort of try and get the leg over again and start applying the pressure again. But if you lose the pressure and you start running out of cards, or let's say you lose card advantage, and they start having more options than you. Those Ravens get you right back in the game, so they're absolutely fundamental for that. You've got to hold on to them. I hate like marching them, and I hate like tossing them to military claim. Obviously, I'll do it when I have to, but just even having one of those little guys really, really just keeps you in the game. And as you can see, the best thing about having a draw engine in a good stuff deck is you draw into more of the good stuff.
yeah, exactly. And it's the way I was looking at it. It's like with it's like the Red Keep. I'd be quite happy if the Red Keep said draw 2 cards, but don't draw any cards in the next draw phase. But I now can plan my turn knowing what my next couple of cards are. Whereas beforehand, you wouldn't necessarily know that you're going to draw your 2 copies of Tyrion and be able to put them out and feel quite safe.
Yeah, okay, so I see what you're saying. So it sort of takes over. It just changes how the draw phase works. Well, that would be very powerful if it did that. But
sorry.
No, I was to say it's just a fantastic card.
No, they are. Obviously, you say about the pressure. Core and Halfhand, he's really good. I'm going to say he's not quite as bonkers as I first thought he was. He has had a big impact on the way I play around him, but I say it's the fact that he can only kill non-uniques makes him, I think, actually quite balanced in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if it was anyone, he would be broken. But what I've noticed about him is he gives your military claim bite. He really does. Being able to move that chud off the board,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot. He's sort of like, oh, well, fuck, I just lost a garden caretaker or whatever. But then when they're suddenly like, oh, now I have to claim someone a bit better than a garden caretaker, or I have to remove a dupe off a character, or, something like that, then it gets a bit more scary. And then when you add in all the rest of the stuff, like the military sort of extra shit, then, he gets a bit scary. And if you're very lucky and the stars align, and you manage to get Widow's Wail on him, which he can carry because he's no attachments except weapon, then you bring him into range of killing the big bad armies. So we're talking your wildling hordes, we're talking your ranging parties, even with the wall. We're talking that Baratheon City Watch. These are good cards that people run, and being able to like wipe one of those babies off the table, that is nasty. So he is a great card, and just extra renown is always nice as well. Can't go wrong.
No, he is really good, and it just makes that military challenge that bit more scary, especially on like a famine turn. Whereas now you're killing a chud and you're killing got 2 claims still to do.
That's a very good point. Yeah. On the famine, he's great. He's really good on that turn. Because chances are they probably won't have marshaled very much.
No, and that one chud they've just about squeezed out. He's probably going to die to the military claim. To Quorum. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, got Raging Party. I still think is about the best forecast in the game, but other than maybe Cat.
I think that was the one when I was chatting with Whammer about this. That was the one card. He was like, it was the only card that he could name, I think, because I was like, Raging Party is the best forecast character in the game, and he was like, Cat, and I was like, I can see that point.
Yeah, I think it's not a very big list. They're in the top 3 worst case scenario, and I think they're number 2. So they're just 4 for 5 military and power. They're going to do your work no matter what. So,
no attachments. They can't be cravens. Just fantastic. And they're generally the first 3 Night's Watch cards I'll put into any Night's Watch deck, because I just know that I will take 3. Never unhappy to see him.
No, they're always good. So one of Sam. I assume that's just for a little bit of insight, and because he's a good, just for like your 2 cost slot a bit.
Yeah, he's good, Sam. He'll always have a place until someone better comes along. I mean, have you seen that Satin character in the Night's Watch box?
Yeah.
Oh, I like him very much. I'm not sure Satin would be better than Sam in this deck, but he's better in a lot of other Night's Watch decks, just for the synergy between Standing Stewards, and there's that new economy location, the new gift. Have you seen that?
Yeah, there's I say that's talking about obviously the next kind of big influx of Night's Watch cards, which isn't that far away. But yeah, Sam's going to start questioning his place at that point because and you got the new Sam, who's not too bad either.
Oh, he's not shabby at all. I like him. But yeah, this Sam is he's a bit of extra card draw. He's great to just throw into a challenge with Tyrion, you know. Yeah. And the reserve, if he sticks around, is handy because Famine has got shitty reserve.
Yeah,
March of the Wall and Ghost of Harrenhal is not great either. Yeah. You know, and in a deck that likes to have Ravens kicking around, so you're always essentially taking 2 cards back to hand. If you've got the Ravens out, just having a bit of extra reserve can be very nice.
Obviously, the other one of. Was it Lurch, whatever his name is, the knight, Armour, whatever, I can never pronounce his name.
I think it's Amory Lorch. I always just call him Armory Lorch.
Armory Lorch, yeah. While your opponent controls 3 or less characters, he's probably, you want that to happen, so he's a pretty good 4 cost to swing in.
I was sort of like really unenthused by him when I first put him in the deck, because I thought, he's just an inferior ranging party that sometimes has renown, but it's probably going to die, so it's not really that valuable. But you know what? He did some work, man. You know, he did some work, because there were so many times my opponent just did not have more than 3 characters on the board, and you know, he just sort of sits there ticking away, and then that makes them think about that difficult decision whether they're going to Valor or do some. You know, it puts pressure on them in a way, and when pressure's on your opponent, they make mistakes. You know?
I hear putting pressure on your opponent's never a bad thing.
No, that's it. And this whole deck is about that. Yeah. You can't sort of give them breathing space unless you're really on the back foot and you need to dig in. But as soon as you're sort of established again, then bam, right back in.
Obviously, you got the Lannister Smash Bros, I like to refer to them as, which is Clegane and Jaime. Obviously, Jaime's a one-of, so he's quite nice to have, but he has kind of lost his place a little bit. Free Sir Gregor, though, is that is that just because of the pressure he puts on? You want to see him?
He's a lot of things in one card. That guy. First of all, he's the win by 5 trigger enabler. You know, I don't care if they put milk on him, you know, like cool, whatever. I lose the renown and the pillage thing, fine. But I've still got my giant 10 strength military guy that I can do all my other shit with, you know. So he's that. He's a psychological weapon as well, Gregor. People play differently when he hits the board. He frightens people because we've all been burnt by the bullshit roulette pillage.
Yeah,
no one likes it. And people will do anything to stop that. And while they're focusing on him, they're slightly less aware of what other threats could be looming in the wings, sort of thing, you know. So maybe they're trying to stop Gregor from doing his thing, so I'm able to ambush in a hound and get off a relentless assault or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, people would like try and do big military challenges to get me to defend with Gregor, which I would do, thinking that would like take away my teeth for the military claim, and they would have knelt out their board to do that, or their military icon presence, and then I'd be able to do some sort of surprise bullshit thing, and trigger all my nasty stuff anyway. So he's a great card in mid levels. Obviously the renowned great. Anything that makes you win faster is good. And the pillage thing, I always feel so cheap when that goes off. I feel very dirty.
It is one of those abilities, so it can swing a game, but at the same time, it's a bit, as you say, it does feel a bit bad. So it does actually work.
I mean, more often than not, it misses. Do you know what I mean? But occasionally, you'll just hit the right thing, and it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling for your opponent when that happens. It's a real NPE, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, great for you.
I think the first time I ever hit him, I hit Fast Eddie, which then killed Rob. And that was basically game on turn 2.
That is it. When you get something like that, it feels like such bullshit.
Obviously, you got Lancel, who I actually quite like in these kind of decks because you only have 3 other lords which you can trigger off, which then means you're actually quite likely to get him off. And worst case, he's a 2-cost character, goes out to die.
There was one game I had where I had the Mountain out and I got Lancel and I had Tyrion in hand and I didn't play Tyrion. I just wanted Lancel to be a 10 strength for a while.
2-cost 10 strength intrigue, yes please.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I like Lancel. And then when you do marshal the other lords, he's claim so great card, love him.
Good choice. I think good sort of one of in the banner decks. The Hound we talked about, he's basically there because you got Tyrion and he's just good. He's just a good card. The forced reaction I actually think is always a benefit, especially with Valor in the meta now. You don't want him caught on that board for that turn.
No, that's it. It's quite difficult to pin the Hound down because even if you do milk him or whatever, I don't know why you would ever milk the Hound. You can just ping him back a first snow, so it's all good, really.
Yeah. And even if they ping him down with that, like cool, you've just meant I've now got this six strength military power bike on. Okay?
Yeah, it's not bad. You only paid 3 gold for him. Yeah.
And your opponent's paid 1 gold to make him less good in quotation marks.
It's still going to do what he's supposed to do, so it's all good.
And the last card, Tyrion Lannister. Do we really need to say anything else about this guy?
What can you say about Tyrion? He's the best card in the game.
Pretty much. He's up there. He's definitely up there.
I would say that he's the best card in the game, and the best card to come out since Tyrion is that new Marge. That would be my opinion. I'm not sure how many people would agree with me, but in terms of what they do and what you get for the cost, they're just in a league of their own, those cards, you know. Tyrion breaks other cards. That's why he's so fucking good.
And the other thing, I think Tyrion takes a lot of choice out of it. When you're there marshalling, you got Tyrion out, you go, I don't need to worry about keeping 2 gold back to put to the sword. I'll just do an intrigue first.
That's it. You know, if your opponent's got a milk and you've got Jaime, Tyrion, and Gregor there, who are they putting the milk on? You know, even in those instances, he makes your life way easier, and he creates very difficult choices for your opponent. And he's one of the few characters with stealth on intrigue as well. He's just the best character in the game.
He's really good, and not much to say. He's just great. But okay, that's an overview of the deck. Kind of going through some thought process of Dan and the guys as they were making it. Thanks for going for that, Dan. And
my pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
And guess come back straight after this video where we'll see Dan using it in action.
Yeah.